Many of you may remember Flip Wilson's TV comedy show back in the 1970s. One of his favorite characters to portray was Brother Leroy. In one skit, Brother Leroy was leading services one Sunday morning, and it wasn't going very well. People were not very responsive. So it was time to take the offering, and Brother Leo passed the collection plate. It came back empty. So he passed it again. Same thing, empty. Brother Leo then went before the people and he said, "Now, I know that you all want this church to progress. This church must progress." No response from the congregation. So Brother Leroy shouted a bit louder. He said, "Now, before this church can progress, it has to crawl. This church has got to crawl." And the congregation then started getting excited, and they yelled back, "Make it crawl, Reverend, make it crawl." Brother Leroy continued. He said, "After this church has crawled, it has to pick itself up and start to walk. This church has to walk." And the people then yelled back again, "Make it walk, Reverend, make it walk." And then he said, "After this church walks, this church has to get up and run. The church has to run." And the people were all worked up then, in a terrible frenzy. And they hollered back, "Make it run, Reverend, make it run." And then Brother Leroy said, "Now, brothers and sisters, in order for this church to run, it's going to need money. It's going to take money for this church to run." And the people yelled back, "Let it crawl, Reverend, let it crawl." Well, asking for money is certainly not on the top of my 10 list. And you know, as rector here for the last 11 years, this is probably the second time that I've had to do this. Yet this magnificent structure, this great cathedral, is very important to me, as I know it's very important to you. I can remember a long time ago now, as a teenager, attending the 1210 Mass during the week. Then it was in 1981 that Monsignor McGraw invited me to live here, to have a residence here when I was doing graduate work around the country. I haven't left since. I had many different diocesan jobs, and then in 2005, Bishop Moynihan asked me to be the rector here. Now today, as I come closely to finish my 11th year as your rectory, and I'm facing 40 years as a priest this year, 35 of them have been spent here in this great building. And for me, it's been a great blessing to live here and to serve here. Thus, I can't imagine a more fitting celebration of my 40 years of priesthood than to celebrate with this parish community by coming together and restoring this magnificent structure. That would be a great celebration for me. So as I face you this evening, I come with tremendous gratitude for what you as a community have done here and have achieved. Your generosity of time, talent, and treasure has enabled our very small community to truly live out the message of Christ. From our worshiping together, we are able to care for the poor and the needy, especially by our cathedral emergency services across the street and our dental and our health services right next door. So the gospel message truly is alive and well here in this community. Hopefully, a few weeks ago, those of you who were able to tour the former rectory became aware of how these 100-year-old buildings are in need of such repair and restoration. Over the past 18 months, with the diocese, we have embarked on a comprehensive study cataloging the growing list of repairs that are necessary to preserve the mother church of the diocese. The list is long, the repairs are many. Usage, time, the elements have certainly not been kind to this structure. And many of you who are homeowners and know how that often it's very wise to spend $1 today rather than waiting for something catastrophic to happen in the future that will cost a lot more to repair. So in order to complete the necessary work for this cathedral, the diocese has begun a capital campaign with us at the cathedral. All parishes and all families throughout the 7 counties of our diocese will be asked to assist in the essential fundraising endeavor. You, as the cathedral parish, have always been tremendous, generous supporters of this parish. Our offertory income enables us to run this parish efficiently on a daily basis, yet that income is certainly insufficient to address the issues of long-term maintenance and the preservation of this beloved church. I'd like to very briefly just give you a summary of the projects that need to be completed here in the cathedral to ensure the stability of this structure. Almost all of the major systems within the building are failing and need to be updated or replaced. These include the roof, the floor, the heating and ventilation system, and the electrical system. Additionally, we need to stabilize the choir loft and secure a new sound system. Many of you are aware the first phase of the project is already begun in the former rectory in the chapel area. There will be an enlarged gathering space in the former chapel. The first floor of the rectory will be multi-purpose rooms and classrooms, the second floor offices, and the third floor will then be the rectory with 3 small residences. The second phase begins a year from now, after Easter, when this church will be scaffolded, the roof will be done, the floor, the heating, the ceiling, all that kind of thing. Now, the total cost of the project is overwhelming. It's $10 million. It's challenging, but there is a plan in place to meet this. There will be 3 sources of funding in the form of pledges that can be payable up to 5 years. Bishop Cunningham and his campaign leadership team have begun meeting with families around the diocese that can give the top leadership gifts. Our parish, our small community here, we have a goal of $665,000. A small part of that will be our Hope Appeal campaign for this year, so there will not be 2 campaigns. Our request for support will be made to all registered Catholics in each of the 136 parishes around the diocese. So I ask all of you to think about how you can help in this campaign. You may have already and probably received, if you are a parishioner here and on our books, an invitation to a campaign reception. So I'm asking all of those who have received this invitation to try to make the time to attend one of these campaign meetings. At the reception, we will talk about the projects in detail, and you will hear what you can do to make the campaign successful. You'll also have an opportunity to ask any of the questions that you might have, and hopefully we have the answers for those questions. We've asked you there's an RSVP, so please call the rectory offices and let us know if you're able to attend one of these 3. We all get nervous. I get very nervous when we talk about money, just like Brother Leo's congregation. This will definitely be a challenging financial project, but if we all do our share, it won't be too burdensome for anyone. So we do ask your special generosity, and we know that whatever you decide to pledge will be sacrificial. I have been asked to pledge, and I am making a sacrificial pledge. Over the next 5 years, I will be pledging a certain amount myself. I cannot ask you to pledge if I do not pledge myself. Our ancestors who left us this magnificent worship space made a lot of sacrifices, and I think we have to do the same for those who follow after us. I have a great love for this community. It's been a tremendous privilege to be here for 11 years and to worship in this space. And I certainly could never have imagined 40 years ago that I would be celebrating my priesthood by embarking in such a large endeavor to restore this magnificent cathedral. But I can't think of any better way for me to give thanks for 40 years of priesthood than to be part of this endeavor so that we can have a great worship space and also continue to live out this gospel message as you do so very well, as vibrantly in the future as we have been doing in the past. I sincerely thank you for all that you've done in the past. You have always been generous, and I am extremely grateful for all that you have done, and I know will continue to do. So thank you so much.